Welcome back to episode 2 of the Ames Angle here at the Iowa State Daily. I'm Henry Annan, the assistant sports editor.
I'm Aleigha. I'm the sports editor.
This week, we have an interesting slate we got going on. We're going to talk about men's and women's basketball. Then we're going to bring in managing editor Kayde Scheaffer for a feature on women in sports. Then our Ames Angle of the week is men's basketball playing 2 games in 3 days against top 10 opponents. Then we'll go into our tweet of the week and cut the episode. First, men's and women's basketball recaps.
The women's basketball team is coming off of a 79-72 win over Utah, and in that competition, the Cyclones found a 30-point third quarter, while Utah found a 27 fourth quarter attempt to take back a win. And in that, Utah held junior center Audie Crooks to 2 points in the first half, and in the second, Crooks came back with a 24-point game to end her game with 26 points.
Yeah, in the most recent AP poll for women's basketball, the Cyclones were not ranked inside of the top 25. They were actually ranked just outside of it at number 29 and received 17 votes in the AP poll.
And now for the men, who are now ranked number 5 in the AP poll.
Yeah, the men's basketball team recorded a great win at home against Baylor, 72-69 at Hilton Coliseum. It was a whiteout, a great atmosphere, but Cyclones definitely wanted to win by a larger margin at the end.
Okay. Now for our guest of the week, Kayde.
Hi, everybody. My name's Kayde Scheaffer. Long time no see. I'm currently the managing editor, but I know you guys are in good hands with Aleigha and Henry, and I'm so glad to be part of this little journey with you. If you didn't know already, I'm a big supporter in women's sports. Love them. Will forever be a big supporter of women's sports. So I kind of made a little list of things I think people should know, and just things either with the Cyclones or women's sports in general that I think is very important and you should know because everybody watches women's sports. Okay. Okay, so the first thing happening in our own backyard is, as Aleigha covers them, the Iowa State women's basketball team has earned the title of most watched women's college basketball team in the nation right now. Phenomenal. No surprise there because they're honestly killing it. And then not even another surprise, but right behind them on the list is the Iowa Hawkeyes, who, again, phenomenal. If you didn't know, Caitlin Clark used to play for them. Just an amazing team. The Cy-Hawk rivalry is always super great to know. Iowa State is the only Big 12 program to have 3 different players named in the league's Player of the Week this season. We have Audie Crooks, Addie Brown, and Jada Williams, of course. And then speaking of Audie, she has scored in double figures for 90 straight games, which marks the longest streak by a Cyclones women basketball player and the longest active streak in NCAA women's basketball. A couple other things that I think are really important to know that are not just happening in Iowa, but around the world, and things that might impact you. NBA star Giannis, who plays for the Bucks, as many of you may know, pretty great, pretty good player in my opinion, has announced he has joined the ownership group of Chelsea Women. Chelsea Women is an English professional football team competing in the Women's Super League. They are one of England's most successful teams with a record of 8 WSL titles. They're amazing. Always tune into women's sports. They are football, but in other terms, soccer for some people. But yeah, they're great to watch. Really interesting. I love how men are contributing to women's sports and getting that notice, which is great. We've seen a lot of other athletes do this, like Steph Curry, Travis Kelce, just some other big names, but it's always really good to see men supporting women because women's sports is super important. Another kind of college basketball thing is NYU women's basketball beat Carnegie Mellon University on Sunday with a 69-58 victory. This marks NYU's 82nd straight win, which is a new D3 women's basketball record. Props to them. They crushed that. That's really interesting. I know a lot of people don't really watch D3 sports, but it's still really important to know because they're also making history and doing amazing things. Another thing, we talked about the NBA a little bit with Giannis, but the WNBA submitted a new CBA, which is a collective bargaining agreement. The proposal reportedly features updated housing provisions with a minimum salary, and rookie players assigned one-bedroom apartments while developmental players get studios. The players are also asking for 30% of gross revenue. The regular season will tip off May 8th, so make sure you tune in to them and all your favorite players, such as Caitlin Clark, who is an Iowa Hawkeye, which we have a rivalry against, but again, in your own backyard, super important to tune in. However, the WNBA players authorized the union executive committee to call a strike when necessary in December. So I'm interested to kind of see how that plays out. We already see a lot of players stepping forward. Pay the players is a big thing going on right now. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen with the league and how that's going to move forward. So now moving on to the Olympics, which if you don't know is happening right now, the Winter Olympics, super exciting. So tune into those because we have a lot of women athletes in that as well. But last Thursday, Layla Edwards officially became the first Black woman to represent Team USA at the Olympic hockey tournament as she won over Czechia. And then we also have Jutta Leerdam, which claimed her first Olympic gold medal, setting a new Winter Games record in the women's 1,000-meter speed skating event in the Olympics. Her time was 1 minute and 12.21 seconds, which is incredible to see. A lot of people know her as Jake Paul's fiance, but know her for what she does because she's an amazing person and she's doing a lot of really great things. So that's all I have. Just a couple little things that you should take note of and just remind yourself, because women's sports is important and everybody watches women's sports. So please support women in sports because we love watching them. We know sometimes you guys love watching them. So please continue to show recognition and advocate for people working and our athletes in sports.
And now it's time for our threads of the week. This week we have the Bucks City Edition jersey featuring Bobby Portis.
Shout out to Bobby, who just turned 31 and was also named to the NBA All-Star three-point competition.
Now it is time for the Ames Angle of the week. This week we are focusing on a 2-game stretch over 3 days where the Cyclones will welcome 2 top 10 teams into Hilton Coliseum. The Kansas Jayhawks, who recently just knocked off the number 1 overall team in the country, the Arizona. And then on Monday, the Cyclones will welcome in the Houston Cougars.
With Kansas coming to town, Iowa State has the opportunity to become the Heartbreakers as they take on the Jayhawks on Valentine's Day. With such a highly anticipated matchup, the campus policies for students is coming up.
Yeah, tents and chairs for students waiting in line to get into Hilton Coliseum will be allowed to get set up at 12:01 Saturday, and they must be taken down by 5 a.m. that same morning. So tents and chairs really only going to be up for 5 hours, getting ready for that noon tip-off on ABC.
Stay tuned for our sports reporter Noah Seaver as he reports on the camping at Iowa State athletic events.
Now about the game happening inside of Hilton Coliseum. In preparation for these games, I was able to talk with assistant coach Kyle Green. Now, Coach Green is the father of an NBA player, AJ Green, who plays for the Milwaukee Bucks alongside Bobby. But he's also an assistant coach here at Iowa State, used to coach at UNI, where AJ went to college and played his college basketball. Now, Altenberg has made it very clear that he focuses on the next game ahead. And at the time of this conversation, it wasn't the next game, talking about Kansas and Houston. So talking to Coach Green really gave us an insight of what's actually happening in the day-to-day efforts of this team, especially on the practice court. Now, Altenberger has set a standard. This is from Green. Altenberger has set a standard that we manage a long and tough season by sticking to our daily habits and basic fundamentals. That's what allows them to succeed. It is not about the game prep and the X's O's, but it's more about the players' mental and physical ability to execute basic fundamentals of basketball. It is never about the opponent. It is about ourselves. Assistant coach Kyle Green.
I think Green's message about physical and mental health is just about as important as anything that any other coach has had to say. because the only thing you can really control in your life is you and what you can do. So focusing on the opponents, yeah, it's going to help you in the end, but the only thing you can make sure that you continue to work on is yourself. And just being able to do that is the best thing that these athletes can do for themselves to help them continue to win games.
Yeah, this Kansas team that Cyclones will be facing just knocked off the number 1 team in the country, Arizona, at Fog Allen Fieldhouse. And they did it without arguably their best player in Darren Peterson. Now, Peterson has missed a lot of games this year, which has given him as an NBA prospect. Teams are giving doubt towards him. Maybe he's not the best player. Maybe there's health issues. He did not play in the game against Arizona and was a game-time decision with flu-like symptoms. The catch, he was there on the court with his teammates. So it's up for debate whether Peterson was sick or not, and if he will play at Hilton Coliseum against the Cyclones on Valentine's Day.
This next stretch is going to be a testament to what the Cyclones can do and how they can manage their long season. After taking on Kansas, the Cyclones will turn around to host number 3 Houston at home as well.
Yeah, the stretch of the Big 12 schedule, teams play 2 games a week normally 2 games a week. One of those games happening on the weekend, and then one of those games happening just after the weekend, either on Monday, Tuesday, normally on 1 or 2 days of rest. So Green and this staff have to figure out how they want to manage playing their high-intensity style of basketball just like 72 hours apart. It's a pretty wicked scene, and maybe the Cyclones will be able to play their best and 100% in both games. Maybe they took some time off in practice, but who really knows? But we will find out with both of those contests on the Hilton floor. Green also said that he believes that one of the big successes of this program under Otzelberger is their emphasis on player development. In this new era of the transfer portal and NIL, sometimes that can get thrown under the window. Coaches really not caring about player development because if a player gets really good and they develop them well, they just transfer out. Not at Iowa State. They focus on the amount of time the players put in on the court, in the weight room, watching film, and just becoming the best versions of themselves while playing basketball. And they've seen as players improve, the entirety of the team improves as well. And I can back this up. When I was in the facility trying to attempt to coach Green, he had a meeting. But when I was in there, I saw extra players getting post-practice workouts in on that court, backing up exactly what the coach's message is.
Now it's time for Tweet of the Week.
Some news shocking the whole country as the Iowa State Athletics Department cancels the remainder of the Iowa State Gymnastics season. The Athletics Department listed player safety as the main reason for the cancellation of the season. The Iowa State Daily is still investigating all the potential reasons behind the cancellation of the season, and a story will be out once we can verify it.
Like, comment, and subscribe for more.
And cut!